Welcome to my views and news. Some news stories for you. First one is from Tigray, Eritrea border, Ethiopia, Eritrea border. Details are now being shared from Zalambesa front about the areas which are under the control of Eritrean army. Tigray TV has aired a detailed report from this area. Secondly, Orthodox church preachers, writers, and journalists are being released from prisons. We saw pictures of some preachers today who were released from prison. And thirdly, viewers, Laascaanood Sool region, Somaliland. Somaliland's government issued a statement today about a peace delegation which was sent to the Sool region to resolve the ongoing conflict in Laascaanood. But on Tuesday morning, heavy fighting erupted in the outskirts of Laascaanood city. The two sides, SSC and Somaliland's government, have issued conflicting statements about what happened in Laascaanood today. Firstly, viewers, Tigray Eritrea border or Ethiopia Eritrea border. Now, reports are coming in about Eritrean military's presence in border areas, in those areas which were part of Tigray before the start of this conflict. But some of these areas were awarded to Eritrea by an International Boundary Commission more than 2 decades ago. That decision could not be implemented because Ethiopia sought further clarification about that decision. And just 3 days ago, Tigray External Affairs Bureau in charge claimed, Professor Kendaya, that 2 8 trucks of Care Ethiopia NGO was fired at by Eritrean soldiers when the food aid trucks were on their way from govt to Duwan, which is near Irob. And then we saw a clarification or a counter response, a counter statement from not from Eritrean government but some Eritrean journalists and activists who claim that the area where incident happened, if it happened, it is part of Eritrea. International Boundary Commission awarded this area, this place, to Eritrea. What about Zalambesa? Was Zalambesa awarded to Eritrea by International Boundary Commission, which released a ruling 2 decades ago? I don't think so. I don't think that entire Zalambesa was awarded to Eritrea. But Tigray TV has shared details about Zalambesa front. On this front, not only in Zalambesa but in areas to the north of Fatsi, there is heavy presence of Eritrean army. And I don't think these areas, these places were awarded to Eritrea by the Boundary Commission. Fatsi is in Gulumakda of Wareda. In Gulumakta, there is Zalambesa, Fatsi as well. To the north of Digrat are all these areas. Tigray has put in place its administration in Fatsi. But areas to the north of Fatsi, to the west as well, mostly to the north and northwest of Fatsi, are under Eritrean control. Zalambesa is also under the control of Eritrean forces. It is being reported by Tigray TV. So you can say it is Tigray's official position. And these, again, I'm saying that places to the north of Fatsi, close to Fatsi, they were not awarded to Eritrea by International Boundary Commission. Just a few minutes ago, I rechecked the maps which were shared by that Boundary Commission 2 decades ago. So it means that there is still presence of Eritrean military in border areas. and some of these areas were awarded to Eritrea by International Boundary Commission, and some were not awarded to Eritrea. Watch the report by Tigray TV on this issue about presence of Eritrean military in Gulumada Warada on Tigray-Eritrea border.
Residents of Fatsi in the district of Gula Makhada, Eastern Tigray, denounced the withdrawal of Eritrean army in spite of the reports of its withdrawal. The residents also underscored that they couldn't be benefited from the peace agreement as the atrocities being committed on the residents of the district are still continuing.
The
Eritrean forces are still in the district of Golomakhada, in Ura, Agarheze, Mugoyam, Zuban Hiza, and in all parts of the district, including the city of Zalambesa. And especially in the rural areas, there are lots of them along with their weapons and military uniforms. The only advantage we got out of the peace deal is that the guns have silenced. However, the Eritrean troops are still committing heinous crimes on our people. We are still under trauma.
Secondly, viewers, Orthodox Church followers, preachers, teachers are being released from prisons. We know that dozens were arrested more than a week ago when there was confrontation between the Orthodox Church and Ethiopian government. A new faction emerged back then in Oromia, backed by Oromo regional government. And federal government, Oromo regional government, they were accused of backing the splinter faction. Government then stepped back, agreement was signed, and agreement included clauses like use of regional languages for church services, and Ethiopian government agreed to release those who had been arrested. Now, people are being released, Orthodox Church preachers, writers, journalists. Majority of SFA has been released and several others too, but some are still in prison. Today, we saw pictures of some gospel preachers, teachers, and writers who were released from prison. You can see a picture on your screen from today. These majority of SFA can be seen, some others too. The Orthodox Church followers were released from prisons today. So the agreement is holding. Orthodox Church followers are being released. Oromia Orthodox splinter faction is respecting the agreement. Only question is, have previous church administration in Oromia returned to their areas, or appointees by the splinter faction are administering the affairs of the church in areas like East Valaga, West Valaga, and Jimma as well. I have not seen any confirmation about return of Bone Stefanos, Bone Yusuf, and others to the diocese which they were in charge of in Oromia. Thirdly, we are Somaliland. Conflicting reports are coming in from Laascaanood, Somaliland. On Tuesday morning, heavy fighting erupted in the outskirts of Laascaanood. Both parties are accusing each other of violating the ceasefire. Somaliland's government announced unilateral ceasefire a few days ago, but ceasefire could not be completely implemented. Somaliland's government issued a statement a few hours ago. The statement says that a peace mission has been sent by Somaliland's government to Sool region, where Laascaanood is situated. Purpose is to find a solution to this conflict in Laascaanood, but the government claims that other side breached ceasefire on Tuesday morning and attacked Somaliland's army bases. SSC fighters claim that Somaliland's forces attacked SSC bases in the outskirts of Laascaanood. So both are accusing each other of what happened on a Tuesday morning. The Somaliland's government is asking the other side to respect the ceasefire and to ensure the safety and security of the peace mission. The peace mission consists of tribal elders, cultural leaders, and others who are in Laascaanood, not in Laascaanood, then Sool region. They're trying to involve Dulbahante tribal elders for a permanent ceasefire. So far, no news of any success of this mission. Second words, the US troops arrived in Berbera today. We know that US is investing in using Berbera as its military base. And Somaliland is eager to welcome US at Berbera. We have seen several US military delegations visit Berbera in the past few months. And reportedly, some US military convoys have arrived in Berbera. On the 25th of February, US force is going to start some military maneuvers in Berbera. Somaliland's forces could be part of these maneuvers, but US military convoys have landed in Berbera on the 25th of February. Drills will be conducted. We'll try to update you. US has a military base in this region in Djibouti, but in Djibouti there are some other countries' bases as well, military bases, and US wants to have a new military base. That is why US is interested in developing Berbera as a naval base and a military base. We'll update you on the 25th of February about these military drills by US forces in Berbera.